Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday the 1st of April. So already into the second quarter of the year, and the time flies fast, doesn't it? Hope you're all well out there. It's obviously very trying times for a lot of people. We just both hope you're doing well. So let's look at this euro dollar, and from a daily point of view, well, yesterday it sold off as I expected, but did have quite a large bounce. I did wonder if it was going to continue. I got the direction completely wrong, and it was going to push on upwards. But for now, it's resumed, or looking like it's resuming this downward trend. It's all sort of turned around on the 12 o'clock bar yesterday. It's like turning around on 6 months. It just flew the opposite direction there. Looking soft again now. If we come down to the 60-minute time frame here, you just see a little bit clearer, sort of lower highs, lower lows through there. We pushed up through to around about 10 o'clock last night. I think it was 10 o'clock. Yep, 10 o'clock bar, and it didn't go as high as the previous high there. So at this stage, I'm still expecting further downside. What's muddied that a little bit, the monthly pivot, just so you see this big black line here, they do tend to get hit quite frequently, so just watching out for that in case this does sort of rally back up to that. If it does, well, it's sort of in the double top territory. Then it will be interesting. If it breaks beyond there, well, it's the bets to the downside may be off. If it doesn't get there, well, fine. We'll see what happens, but I won't. In the way the markets are running, I won't put it past it. The trend is certainly in the short term down anyway, so looking really for short-term retracements to sell into. The pound, a bit of a messy old one. Yesterday, the previous day, it put that bearish Rami in. It triggered yesterday. It's easing off a bit this morning. Maybe it's got further downside here. It has got the weekly pivot sitting below it, so I think it's right into its month. Oh, no, it's short of the monthly pivot, or is it? No, it's the monthly pivot sort of around that area. So I'll have a look in a moment, but weekly pivot still maybe drawing it below. Again, it hasn't put a new high in here. It's slightly came up slightly short of the prior high there. Maybe still got downside. There you are. It's actually on it, right on its monthly pivot as I speak. But it doesn't look. I mean, it's certainly on Monday. It didn't really sell off massively. Even though it was a down day. Didn't really push big time. Yesterday it rallied, and it's in a much tighter range. I showed the 4-hour picture of this with the volume on there. And as I said, the volumes are just coming down and coming down. Well, maybe they're still coming down, but actually you had a little pitch up there yesterday when it was pushing up there. So we'll see. But it was the volumes were coming down as the price was running up at that stage, and I do wonder, as I say, whether there's genuine strength in this market or whether it is actually going to roll further. So that's really what I'm looking at there. As we sit here, well, as I say, rallies may be opportunities are short. Maybe back down to today's S1. Yesterday's lows there at around about 122.74. Dollar yen. The yen pushed up yesterday and then managed to sell off there. Or dollar pushed up, I should say, against the yen and managed to sell off. At this stage, this still looks like it's possibly got further downside. It's not quite broken the lows here. If it breaks the lows this morning, well, it's a lower high in there, and perhaps we've got more, as I say, more downside coming in on the yen there. Weekly S1 sitting below us there, and pretty much just looking at this hourly here, it has come just short of its daily pivot there, down to the S1, double topped at the moment. We'll see what happens. Double top, double bottoms almost, not quite there. There would be a bit of divergence if it had come down there, but well, could be turning around at this point. There is quite a key support area, so not a bit of an unclear movement there really. So if in doubt, keep out, as I say. Aussie dollar. Okay, so the Aussie dollar, now this is interesting. It's spent 3 days around that daily 21 and not managed to break it. I still see the Aussie as, from the big money perspective, that it may have some more volumes come in it. But looking at the volumes yesterday, interesting on this 4 hourly, sort of we had a dip as it's pushed up, and then yesterday we had a push up there, and yet the price was, I don't know, perhaps they were into the buying side of things. But yeah, there was strength into that buying, but it didn't get anywhere really. It hasn't pushed up high, hasn't made a new high or anything, which may be that there is sufficient. There are sufficient sellers into that level, into those levels. Okay, so it's looking like it's putting a lower high in on the shorter time frame. Yep, it's confirmed lower high coming through on this time frame. Okay, I just thought if any of these markets were going to sort of run back up, I thought the Aussie, the New Zealand dollar might have been those currencies that would do that, but not at the moment. It's, as I say, it's a pretty strong sell-off there. Okay, that's the Aussie, and finally the Canadian dollar. So Canadian dollar again recovered quite a bit yesterday against the US. The US selling off there through the day there, and quite strongly, and with strong old volume sort of coming through into that. But well, we'll see how it progresses today. At the moment, it's not massively convincing. It's not one of these markets that you look at it and you think, well, what the hell's going to go on there? Pushing up at the moment, is this going to pull back, retrace, and then run towards that 60-50? It's not the clearest when you look at this in this time frame, or even the 4 hourly really here in terms of what it's doing. So again, best left alone. So that's pretty much it. Quick look at oil, because we've been seeing these markets sell off. There's no real significant change there, still at $20, and the S&Ps, let's have a flick into there, and well, the S&Ps saw another bit of a sell-off yesterday, maybe back towards their weekly pivot, which it pretty much had gapped down to on Monday. But there we are. So it's put a bearish little pattern in here now. So looking like may I get a bit of continuation. Just looking at the 4 hourlies, not really convincing anything on these markets. And yeah, I mean, hourly just selling off there, just strong hourly, and it may be that you sell into any sort of retracements here. So soft overall. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. There is a bit of news coming out. We've got ADP Non-farm payroll change at 115, and then we got manufacturing PMI in the US at 3. I don't although those figures, I think the expectation of those figures to be pretty poor is built in there, but we'll just see the market's reaction at that time. Okay, have a great one. I'll speak to you in the morning. Bye for now.